Saint Lucia, mama, that's the land of my birth, welcome to
Bonjour tout le monde. Aujourd'hui, c'est vendredi. Il disait, et puis temps pour conversation à Kabawea. Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, 10 a.m. Well, it's 10:08, but it's 10 a.m. and it's time for another episode of Ram Shop Talks. It is Women's History Month this month, and I figured that I wanted this month, similar, kind of sticking in theme as to what we did last month for African American History Month, that this month I want to be honoring and having Ram Shop be all about women. And to start it off, I wanted to thank all the firsts. Um, and I say that because, the first man who went out there and accomplished something, they did it because they felt they were entitled to do it. Now, they had the right to do it. But the first women, if you look at any woman who was the first to do something in this country or in the world, they've had to fight for it. It was not something that they felt entitled to. It was not a right that was a God given right. They all had to fight for being the first. And these are the brave women who paved the way to where you and I get to be today. So to open up to open up Women's History Month, we're not in February anymore. To open up Women's History Month, I wanted to make sure that we honor that. We honor the bravery, we honor the sacrifices of these women, we honor the fight that these women had to go through to allow us to be able to sometimes easily end up in rooms that we would never have been allowed in positions that we never would have been allowed in situations, conversations that we weren't allowed to be in. And like I said before, it's because women fought and the first women fought to secure those rights for us. So thank you to all the women who came before. We honor you and we thank you and we recognize that we wouldn't be here without you. In honoring women, I wanted to take today to also recognize that I wouldn't be where I am without some amazing women who touched my lives in different ways. And, it's like, for me, it's like from the woman who brought me into this world, my mother, to the my early role models, elementary school teachers, friends, my siblings, to the teachers who encouraged and pushed. And I can tell you that my teachers weren't always happy with me and sometimes had to really be at the receiving end of my wrath when I was younger because I did not want to be encouraged. To my local professors who actually shuttled and pushed me into this profession, which I absolutely love. And to my tribe, my current tribe, my girlfriends, my sister friends, my boss ladies, and my law mamas. I am so grateful to be surrounded by strong women, confident women, capable women who empower me, who inspire me to seek and to achieve beyond the things that I believe I'm capable of. And so I wanted to make sure that I honor these women because I know for a fact that I would not be here today if I didn't have the women who of my past and the women of my present. I would not be able to achieve the things I've achieved to this point and the things I look forward to achieving in the future. I know that it wouldn't be possible if I didn't have these strong women supporting, encouraging, and just being there for me. So To you ladies, you all know yourselves. I thank you so much for being a part of my life. I do hope that I am able to give to you, or have been able to give to you, as much as you have given to me. I invite you guys to think about the women that influence your lives, and to make sure that during this month, Women's History Month, that we are honoring them, that you guys are taking the time to say thank you, that you are, also reaching out to women in your life who could use support, who could use empowerment, who could use inspiration. I was in this clubhouse room yesterday, and one of the women in there said something which was pretty, profound for me. She said that we all should share our stories, because your stories will almost always resonate with someone. That someone out there will be able to learn something from your story. So it is on us to share our story. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you post your business all over Facebook or social media, or write a book. It could be finding individual women in your life and sharing with them your experiences, so that they can learn something from it, so that they can that it can benefit them, that what you have gone through, that you can inspire women. I had an amazing conversation with an aspiring attorney yesterday, and at the end, she actually made me cry because at the end she was just like thanking me, and she mentioned that it's like my level of confidence, which I had no idea what she was talking about, is inspiring to her. And it was wonderful to hear it, that just by having a conversation with someone and sharing my experiences with them, of getting to law school, and the whole journey, that I was inspiring a new generation. And it's like all of last month we talked about representation, and we've been talking about representation a lot, and realizing that representation also comes in allowing people to is not only by looking at you, but by being able to resonate with something that is happening in your life. So don't be afraid to mentor the women around you. Everyone needs encouragement, everyone needs support. And during the month, African American History Month, during Women's History Month, I'd like to encourage us all to take on the mantle, and to find women that we can support and encourage, so that we can all be out there achieving our dreams. Good morning, bro. Welcome. And so, with that, with that, introduction, I would like to hop into our legal tip portion of today. And our legal tip portion isn't not so much legal, but more so encouragement and empowerment. So a couple of years ago, I did a mastermind, and in the mastermind group, it was for my practice. I was trying to learn how to be a better rainmaker. One of the first things that our instructor did was make us take a test, and she talked about mindset, and and it was interesting that here I was trying to learn about how to market my law practice, and she was focusing the very first lesson on mindset. And so it's so during this legal tip portion of today, I will be talking about mindset. I will be talking about a few other things that I think that we can all work on this month and going forward, to better ourselves, whether that is become better marketers, become better writers, become better parents, whatever it is that you're trying to work on, and whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish today. I'm hoping that accomplish in your life. I'm hoping that today's episode will, add a little value to that. And so I want to share a story with you of a client that I had, because I think that I always think about her when I think about empowering women. A couple of years ago, I met this couple, and the husband ended up passing away while, and it was for estate planning. And the wife called me, and I went over to her house thinking that all I was going to do is help her with her estate planning. And what ended up happening was, it was one of those eye-opening moments for me. I walked in, and I'm looking at this lady. She's probably about 80. I mean, she's in her 80s, and she is telling me how difficult it is for her to, she's like, I know I have all these things that I need to do, but I don't know how to do them because my husband always did them. And it was like, wait, for me, that was like a shock. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But I asked her, I'm like, what kind of things that you need help with? And for her, it was like, I need to learn how to use the microwave and to cook because I don't do that myself. I didn't do that myself. My husband did. I need to learn how to pay the bills. I need to learn how to get on the computer. He always paid the bills. I don't even know. I think we have a mortgage, but I don't even know what kind of mortgage we have. I signed some papers. It's like I don't know what our finances are. I don't know what our I don't know what we owe. And like I said, this was a very eye-opening experience for me because I realized in that moment that a lot of us, when we and there's nothing wrong with that, when you have someone who can come in and you're busy with other things, it's like you're busy being mom, you're busy being like, a breadwinner, you're busy out there doing something. Sometimes you don't have the time to learn those things, and so someone else is doing it for you. But what I realized with that lady is when her person was gone and she was having to start all over again, she had no idea how to start. So I had to come in and collect all the bills and figure out how to explain to her what the mortgage was, and call the company and kind of get that started, figure out how her bills were being paid so that that can continue, help her find a person to fix the garage because her husband was always the person who called to get things fixed around the house. And so as I think about empowering women, I always think about her because I think that, it's like there was a critical moment probably in her life where she could have learned this stuff and didn't because maybe someone wasn't sharing with her the things that she needed to learn. So today I wanted to take some time to share with you guys some tips on what some of the things that we should be focusing on and making sure that we know in just to know so that if we ever were to start over again, whether that's because we're getting divorced or whether that's because our partner passes, that we're not left holding the bag and not knowing what to do, that there's a plan in place for us, that we have knowledge. This is less of fixing something that's not broken and more about having knowledge so that you feel empowered to start over again if you need to. So one of the first things that I wanted to talk about today was mindset. And the reason why, like I mentioned in that first story I told, is because you don't realize how powerful your mindset is and how the way you look at things and the way you think about things, how that affects what we do out there in the world. And so one of the first things that my instructor did was make us take this test. And it is an imposter syndrome test. It helps you calculate your score on imposter syndrome. And I want to be and this is the test right here. We're going to put the link for the PDF in the comments after this live. And I'm going to be very transparent with you guys. I found out that day that I have very high imposter syndrome. I saw it, I think the highest was like 91 to 100 or something like that. And I was well up in that highest threshold for having imposter syndrome. Now, here's the funny thing about that. Up until that point, I had never heard of imposter syndrome. I did not know what it was. I had never heard the words. I did not know what it looked like. And what that meant was I never knew how to recognize it. So what is imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome is this phenomenon that that people struggle with, and it sometimes seems like it's more women who struggle with this. And it's the idea that we look to the outside to validate us, because when we are in situations, even if we have the knowledge to be there, even if we have the experience to be there, we feel like an imposter in that position, and we're basically just waiting for someone to point it out. We're not comfortable in the space. We're not, we don't feel safe and secure in that space, and we are pretty much just waiting for someone to point out and say, "You don't belong. That is imposter syndrome. And what happens is we look for external people, like third party people, external sources, to validate us, to make us feel like we belong. And so what does imposter syndrome do? And when you take the test, you'll realize, if you take the test, I do invite you to take the test, because it was so helpful to me. What happened was, as I was taking the test, the questions were kind of cueing me, and I was like, thinking about them. I realized that I allowed my imposter syndrome to stop me from doing a lot of things. And that is what imposter syndrome does. It paralyzes us because we have the mental loop of, I don't belong. I don't belong. I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh, they're going to see, they're going to know that I don't belong. They're going to know I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to just look like a fool. And so instead of taking brave and bold steps, we, hey, Tess, good morning. We allow our imposter syndrome to stop us even before we get started, right? And so what happens is we never really achieve those things that we want to achieve, or we achieve them in very small ways, because we could only that's how much bravery we want to put out there, So what I would like to encourage, and like I said, yeah, I agree. I definitely agree that that's true. So what I would like to encourage you guys to do is to really take that test. Know what your number is. Because what it does is, what I was able to do after knowing what imposter syndrome was, first of all, and knowing how high my imposter syndrome was, and also I was able to start to recognize when I was allowing my imposter syndrome to stop me from doing something, and would have the mental conversation, the talk with myself of, come on, Jan, you know that you know this stuff. You know that you belong here. You know that you have the experience. You know that you have this is this you can do. And then what that would do is give me the strength to do it. So there was a lot of things that I have done over the years. This Rum Shop being one of them, that was only possible after I was able to recognize my imposter syndrome, and was able to recognize when it was stopping me, when it was the small voices in my head that was telling me that people were gonna, laugh at me, that people were gonna think I was stupid, that I was gonna make a fool of myself, that I was able to talk against the thoughts, talk against the feeling, and stop it from paralyzing me and allowing me. And what that did was allow me to take action. So that is something I would love for you guys to have, that kind of mindset shift, and recognize that it's an ongoing process. Just because I know I have imposter syndrome doesn't mean I'm cured. Just because I could recognize, when imposter syndrome is, rearing its ugly head, doesn't mean that I'm cured. It just means that I have tools now to allow me to be able to move past it and still do whatever it is that I want to do, that I hope to do, that I hope to accomplish. And so that is the first thing, that first tip I have for you guys today is, take that test, know your number, and start recognizing when you're suffering from imposter syndrome, and that the imposter syndrome is stopping you, and talk yourself out of it, and start going out there and accomplishing the things the great things that you guys know that you're capable of. Okay. The second thing that I think that we need as women is to work on our motivation, right? And when I say motivation, I'm thinking of two specific things: your passions and your why. So, our passions, those are the things that, excite us. Those are the things that, you like, oh my gosh, this thing, it's like, it makes you, it brings you alive. It's like, and so for me, my passion, and sometimes your passion is the same thing as your why. My passion and my why is my family. It is, those are the things that make me wake up in the morning. Those are the things that make me sit at my desk and work when sometimes I don't want to. Those are the things that drive me. Those are the things that encourage me to keep pushing. And so, knowing what your why is, recognizing it, and knowing what your passions are, or discovering your passions, those will be things that will create that intrinsic internal motivation that we need, for us to succeed. And the reason why I'm kind of harping on this is because other people can motivate you, right? I can sit here and tell you that you're amazing. I can sit here and tell you that you're smart, you're brilliant. I can sit here and tell you that, it's like you can accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. But that's just me telling you. And that's just feeding into your imposter syndrome, right? Because you're looking for me to tell it to you. It's like you need me to do it for you. Motivation, that intrinsic internal motivation, that is what also helps you fight imposter syndrome, because it comes from within. You are confident in this, and what that does is allows you to really find your thing. Everyone has a thing. Find your own happiness. That's what motivation does. It helps you find your own happiness. Create your own story, create your own brand, create your own experiences. And so having that motivation and creating it for yourself is so important. And having other people support you is great, but if you can support yourself, that is even stronger. So definitely, so tip number two I'd like to encourage you guys to do is to start figuring out what your passions are. And I think the way to do that is, my sister and I, a couple of weeks ago, we did our vision boards. And what's great about it is figuring out what your goals and dreams are is a great way to kind of like identify your passions. So, if as you're going through, you say, you know what, I'd like to travel more, and then you ask yourself, well, why? Why do I like to travel more? Because I want to know what else is out there in the world. I want to experience other cultures. I want to, like, I want to see what's beyond my doorstep. That might be a passion for you, right? Um, look at the things that draw you. It's like, where do you love to spend your time? I personally, I love helping people. I love helping people, which is why I'm a lawyer. I also do a lot of not-for-profit work, because that feeds my soul, and it allows me to explore that passion of helping people. So also, what knowing what your motivations are, your passions, your whys, they also help you find fulfillment in other things, and it helps, like, help you become a whole person. And who doesn't want to be a whole person? So mindset, motivation. And the third thing I'd like to encourage you guys, and I'm speaking especially to women who are married or in a relationship and their partners are the ones who are doing all of the heavy lifting. Have a conversation with your partner and know your finances. Know what you have, know what you owe, know how it's held, and where it's at. Why is that important? Because knowing those things will allow you to be able to, if ever the time comes, to advocate for yourself. If you know what you have, then if someone's, like, telling you a story that doesn't sound true. You know how to advocate for yourself if you guys were to get divorced. Not only that, you know what to do if if your husband were to pass away before you. You know what you have. You know how to protect it. You have a plan in place for it. And so that, for me, it's like, I don't know any other way. My sisters could attest to that. We were raised by a single mom who did everything, so I never really had a man in my life who did everything for me, and so I grew up very independently. And I thank my mom for that, because in my home right now, I know everything that my husband and I own. Shit, I know the things that I know what we own that he doesn't know. I pay the bills. It works for our family. It's not. It's just how it is. And if it doesn't work for you, if you're not a finance person, don't change it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, know what it is. know how the bills are held. So if for whatever, know how the bills are paid. So if for whatever reason you need to be the one doing it, you can do it. What that also does is all of those things, what they do is they teach your girls. If you ladies out there have girls, your girls are watching you. Your girls are learning from you. And if you present your girls with a knowledgeable, confident, empowered mom, your girls are going to grow up to be knowledgeable, confident, um, empowered girls. And that's what, for me, it's like, that's what I want for the next generation. You know, it's like in every situation, we are going to find ourselves in situations where we are going to be the first. And like all the firsts who came before us, we're going to have to be brave, and we're going to have to pave the way for those who are going to come behind us. And I think that knowing, having a mindset, doing mindset work, doing motivation work, and having a firm grasp on your expenses and so your finances, sorry, are all things that make you a whole person and will allow you to be able to tackle those first, and also allow you to pave the way for the generations to come. Ladies, the men, sorry, the women out there that came before us, they've done a lot of work, but we all know that there's a lot more work to do. And so during this month, find ways that you can work. Like I said, whether that is encouraging, you know, a woman in your life, being support for that person, helping that person figure something out that they're not able to figure out. I encourage you guys to take that imposter syndrome test. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. Knowing those numbers and having those tools will help with your mindset. It will help you guys accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. I invite you, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, to post it in the comments below. And always, I'm here to support women, because you know what? If we don't support ourselves and we don't support each other, who will? Right? The men are not looking out for us a lot of the times. And honestly, like the imposter syndrome test proves to you, you don't want to look at someone else to save you. You want to learn how to save yourself. So let's do this during the month of March. Let's be here for one another. Let's love and support each other. Have a wonderful Friday, wonderful weekend. Thank you for stopping by. Hope this was helpful to you, and I look forward to seeing you guys for another episode of Rom Shop Talks next week Friday at 10 a.m.